In the ancient halls of Asgard, even light could die. Today we journey into one of the darkest tales in Norse mythology, the death of Baldr, the god of light and love. In the golden halls of Asgard lived Baldr, son of Odin and Frigg, the most beloved of all the gods. His radiance brought light wherever he walked. His wisdom brought peace to troubled hearts, and his laughter echoed through the divine halls. None could find fault in him, for Baldr embodied all that was good and pure in the nine worlds. But even in the realm of gods, happiness cannot last forever. Baldr began to be plagued by terrible dreams, visions of darkness, of his own death. Night after night he would wake, his brow damp with sweat, his heart racing with fear. These were no ordinary nightmares, but prophecies that whispered of doom approaching. The light in his eyes began to dim, and concern spread through Asgard like a shadow. Frigg, mother of Baldr and queen of Asgard, could not bear to see her son suffer. "Tell me of these dreams," she begged him one morning as they walked among the meadows of Asgard. Baldr's voice trembled as he spoke of the darkness that awaited him. Frigg's heart grew cold with fear, for she knew the power of fate in their world. Yet she was determined that no harm would come to her beloved child. "I will not allow this to happen," declared Frigg, her voice firm with maternal determination. She set forth on an impossible task, to extract an oath from every living and non-living thing in all the nine worlds. Fire and water, stone and metal, beasts and birds, diseases and poisons, everything must swear never to harm her son. For days upon days, she traveled through every realm, speaking to all creation, securing their promises one by one. Upon her return to Asgard, Frigg announced with triumph that Baldr was now protected from all harm. The gods rejoiced, and soon a new game was born in the halls of Asgard. They would gather in a circle around Baldr and throw weapons, stones, and fire at him, all which would harmlessly bounce away from his invulnerable form. Laughter and amazement filled the halls as Baldr stood smiling, untouched by harm. But Loki, the trickster, the firebringer, the harbinger of chaos, watched these games with envy burning in his eyes. Is there truly nothing that can harm Baldr? He wondered aloud. Suspicion gnawed at his heart, and so he disguised himself as an old woman and paid a visit to Frigg in her hall. "What a marvelous thing," said Loki in his disguise, "that your son cannot be harmed by anything in all the worlds." Frigg smiled with pride. "Yes, everything has sworn an oath, every weapon, every element, every living creature." Loki leaned closer. "Everything? Truly everything?" Frigg hesitated and spoke the words that would doom her son. "Well, there was one thing so small, so seemingly harmless, that I did not bother with it, the mistletoe that grows west of Valhalla." Loki's heart leapt with malicious joy, though his face remained impassive. He thanked Frigg for her hospitality and departed, making his way straight to the place where the mistletoe grew. With careful hands, he fashioned a dart from its wood, sharp and deadly, perfect for his dark purpose. Returning to the halls of Asgard, Loki found the gods still engaged in their game around Baldr. He approached Hödur, Baldr's blind brother, who stood apart from the circle, unable to join in the festivities. "Why do you not participate in honoring your brother?" asked Loki with feigned concern. "I cannot see to aim," replied Hödur sadly, "and I have no weapon." Loki pressed the mistletoe dart into Hödur's hand. "I will guide your aim," he offered, "so that you too may honor your brother." Hödur, innocent of any ill intent, agreed gladly. With Loki guiding his hand, Hödur threw the mistletoe dart. Time seemed to slow as it flew through the air, straight and true. The dart struck Baldr in the chest, and to the horror of all present, it did not bounce away but pierced his heart. Baldr's face registered surprise, then pain, then nothing at all as he collapsed to the ground, the light fading from his eyes forever. A terrible silence fell over Asgard. Frigg rushed to her son, cradling his body, her tears falling upon his still face. Odin stood motionless, his single eye fixed upon the scene, already seeing the threads of fate unraveling toward Ragnarök. The gods turned to Hödur, who stood confused, unaware of what had happened until the whispers reached him. And Loki, his work done, slipped away in the chaos, a smile playing upon his lips. Grief overtook Asgard like a great wave. The gods wept for Baldr, the best among them, now lost. Frigg, desperate in her sorrow, asked for a volunteer to ride to Hel's realm and offer a ransom for Baldr's return. Hermodr, Odin's son, stepped forward and mounted Sleipnir, the eight-legged steed, to make the perilous journey to the underworld. For 9 days and nights, Hermodr rode through dark valleys and over cold rivers until he reached the gates of Hel's domain. There he found Baldr sitting in a place of honor but bound to the realm of the dead. Hermodr approached Hel, the half-living, half-dead daughter of Loki, and pleaded for Baldr's release. "If Baldr is truly as loved as you claim," said Hel, her voice like the whisper of tombs, "then let all things in the nine worlds weep for him. If everything living and dead sheds tears for Baldr, I will release him back to Asgard. But if even one thing refuses to weep, he must remain here with me forever." Hermodr returned to Asgard with this news, and once again Frigg sent messengers throughout the 9 worlds, asking all things to weep for Baldr. And indeed, everything did weep: the stones, the metals, the trees, the beasts, the gods themselves. Their tears formed rivers of grief flowing through all realms. But the messengers came upon a giantess named Thok, sitting alone in a cave. "Weep for Baldr," they implored her, "so that he may return to the living." Thok sneered at them, her eyes cold and unfeeling. "Baldr brought me no joy in life," she said. "Let Hel keep what she has," and she would shed no tears. The messengers returned to Asgard with heavy hearts, for they had failed. One being had refused to weep, and so Baldr must remain in the realm of the dead. What they didn't know, what none but Odin suspected, was that Thok was Loki in disguise, ensuring that his cruel work remained complete. And so Baldr, the beautiful, the bright, the beloved, was lost forever to the gods of Asgard. His funeral was a sight to behold, his body placed upon his great ship, Hringhorni, surrounded by treasures and covered in flowers. His wife Nanna, overcome with grief, died of a broken heart and was placed beside him. Thor hallowed the pyre with his hammer, and the ship was set aflame as it drifted out to sea. The gods knew that this was no ordinary death, but the first thread unraveling in the tapestry of their fate. For it had been foretold that Baldr's death would mark the end of Ragnarök, the twilight of the gods, the end of all things. And as they watched the funeral ship burn on the distant horizon, they could feel the cold breath of doom upon their necks. But that is another tale for another time. For now, remember Baldr the bright, beloved of gods and men, whose light was extinguished too soon. Remember Frigg's love and grief, Hodr's unwitting crime, and Loki's treachery. For in the tapestry of Norse mythology, the death of Baldr is perhaps the darkest thread of all, the beginning of the end, the first note in the dirge of the gods.